Lachlan Lockie Harrison stood at the heart of the Galactic Council chambers, a grand hall filled with representatives from countless star systems. The air buzzed with tension, the weight of the Council's impending decision hanging heavy over the assembly. Lachlan's rugged features were set in a determined expression, his sharp blue eyes scanning the crowd, looking for any sign of support among the alien delegates. The Council speaker, a tall and imposing figure from the Azrith race, raised a slender arm to call for silence. The Galactic Council has convened to address the matter of humanity's recent technological advancements. The speaker intoned, her voice echoing through the vast chamber. We must determine the potential threat they pose to the stability of the galaxy. Lachlan took a deep breath. He knew this moment was critical. Humanity's leap to faster-than-light travel had been a monumental achievement, but it had also drawn the wary eyes of the galaxy's established powers. Beside him stood Dr. Celine Quinn, a seasoned diplomat whose experience with the Council was invaluable. Her calm demeanor contrasted with Lachlan's fiery resolve. Council members, Celine began, her voice steady and authoritative. Humanity seeks only peaceful exploration and cooperation. We wish to contribute to the collective knowledge and prosperity of the galaxy. Before she could continue, a sharp voice cut through the air. Peaceful exploration? Sneered Counselor Vrax, a hulking figure from the Voran race. Or is it the prelude to conquest? Humanity's history is rife with conflict and aggression. How can we trust them now? A murmur of agreement rippled through the chamber. Lachlan felt a surge of frustration. He had anticipated resistance, but the depth of mistrust was disheartening. He stepped forward, his voice firm. We have learned from our past, Counselor Vrax. Our advancements are a testament to our desire to grow, not to dominate. The speaker raised her hand again, silencing the growing debate. We will hear from both sides, she declared. But first, we must vote on whether to impose restrictions on human activity. As the Council members prepared to cast their votes, Lachlan's wrist communicator vibrated subtly. Glancing down, he saw a covert message from an old friend within the Council. Meet me in the North Corridor after the session. Urgent. The vote proceeded, the outcome as divided as Lachlan had feared. With a slight majority, the Council decided to impose strict limitations on human expansion, effectively isolating Earth from further galactic exploration. The decision was a heavy blow, but Lachlan knew this was only the beginning. After the session, Lachlan and Celine made their way to the designated meeting spot. Waiting for them in the shadowed corridor was Kane, a rebellious member of the Council who had always been sympathetic to humanity's cause. Lockie, Celine, Kane greeted them, his voice low and urgent. There's more to this than you know. Vrax is manipulating the Council's fears to consolidate his power. He's using humanity as a scapegoat. Lachlan's eyes narrowed. What proof do you have? Kane handed them a data chip. This contains communications between Vrax and his allies, discussing how to turn the Council against Earth. You need to expose this before it's too late. Celine examined the chip. We need to move carefully. If we present this without solid backing, it could backfire. Lachlan nodded. Agreed. We need to gather more evidence and allies within the Council. The trio hurriedly discussed their next steps. They would need to covertly gather additional proof of Vrax's machinations and find other Council members willing to stand against him. Time was of the essence. Vrax's influence was growing by the day. Back in their quarters, Lachlan and Celine strategized late into the night. Celine would use her diplomatic contacts to discreetly build a coalition, while Lachlan, with Kane's help, would focus on gathering hard evidence. We'll need to break into the Council archives, Lachlan said, determination burning in his eyes. It's risky, but it's the only way to get the documents we need. Celine nodded, her expression resolute. We'll also need to be ready to defend ourselves. Vrax won't take this lying down. As dawn approached, they had a plan. It was dangerous and uncertain, but it was their only chance to clear humanity's name and thwart Vrax's ambitions. Lachlan felt a mix of fear and exhilaration. This was a fight for humanity's future, and he was ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. Lachlan Lockie Harrison and Dr. Celine Quinn stood in the dimly lit room, the weight of their mission pressing heavily on their shoulders. The data chip Kane had given them sat on the table between them, its contents potentially the key to exposing Counselor Vrax's scheme and saving humanity from isolation. "We need to be meticulous," Celine said, her voice a low whisper. "One misstep and Vrax will use it against us." Lachlan nodded, his eyes fixed on the chip. "We'll need to analyze every bit of data, cross-reference it with council records, and find the smoking gun that ties Vrax to the plot." As they began their work, Lachlan couldn't help but admire Celine's calm under pressure. Her experience in galactic diplomacy was invaluable, and her methodical approach kept them focused. Hours passed in silence as they sifted through encrypted communications and hidden directives. Midway through their analysis, Lachlan's communicator buzzed. It was Zara, the sympathetic alien scientist they had befriended on Galathea. "I have some information that might help," she said. "Meet me at the observatory in 1 hour." Lachlan and Celine exchanged a glance. "We need all the help we can get," Lachlan said, rising to his feet. "Let's go." At the observatory, Zara greeted them with a tense smile. "I've been monitoring Vrax's communications. There's a pattern: secret meetings, encrypted messages. He's definitely hiding something." Zara handed them a small device. "This decryptor should help you access his most secure files. But be careful. If he realizes you're onto him, he won't hesitate to strike." Back at their hideout, Lachlan and Celine connected the decryptor to their system. The device worked quickly, revealing a trove of incriminating evidence. Vrax's plans to manipulate the council, his coercion of key members, and his ultimate goal of consolidating power by framing humanity as a threat. "This is it," Celine said, her eyes widening as she read through the files. "We have enough to expose him. Now we need to present this to the right people," Lachlan replied. "If we can get this in front of the full council, Vrax won't be able to deny it." However, getting to the council was easier said than done. Vrax's loyalists patrolled the corridors, and security had been tightened since their last session. They needed a plan to slip past the guards and present their evidence without alerting Vrax. Kane joined them, his expression grim. "Vrax is getting suspicious. We need to act fast. I can get you into the council chamber, but you'll need to be ready to speak the moment you get there." With Kane's help, Lachlan and Celine navigated the labyrinthine corridors of the council's headquarters. They moved swiftly, avoiding patrols and surveillance drones. The tension was palpable, each step bringing them closer to their goal. As they neared the chamber, they encountered a group of Vrax's enforcers. Celine whispered, "We can't fight them all. We need a distraction." Lachlan nodded and activated a small device from his pocket, a pulse emitter designed to short-circuit electronics temporarily. The lights flickered and went out, plunging the corridor into darkness. Taking advantage of the chaos, they slipped past the enforcers and reached the entrance to the chamber. Inside, the council was in session, debating the latest restrictions on human activities. Vrax stood at the center, his voice dripping with authority. "We must remain vigilant. Humanity cannot be allowed to destabilize our galaxy." Lachlan and Celine burst into the chamber, their entrance causing an uproar. "Council members," Lachlan shouted, "we have evidence that Vrax has been manipulating you all. He's using humanity as a scapegoat to seize power." The chamber fell silent as they presented the data. Screens lit up with Vrax's secret communications, his plots laid bare for all to see. The council members murmured in shock and anger. Vrax's face twisted in rage. "This is a farce. These humans are fabricating lies to save themselves." Celine stepped forward, her voice cutting through the noise. "The evidence speaks for itself. Review the data and see the truth. Vrax has been deceiving you all." The speaker called for order, her voice stern. "We will review this evidence. If it proves true, Vrax will be held accountable." As the council members began to scrutinize the data, Lachlan felt a surge of hope. They had taken a significant step towards exposing Vrax and clearing humanity's name. But he knew the fight was far from over. Lachlan Lockie Harrison and Dr. Celine Quinn stood before the council, their hearts pounding as the evidence against Vrax played on the holoscreens. The council members scrutinized the data, their expressions shifting from shock to anger. The chamber buzzed with tension, and Lachlan knew that they were on the brink of a pivotal moment. Councillor Vrax, however, was not one to be easily cornered. He stepped forward, his voice dripping with indignation. These accusations are baseless. This so-called evidence is nothing but a fabrication by desperate humans trying to save themselves from the consequences of their own actions. The speaker raised her hand to silence the murmurs. We will review the evidence thoroughly. Until then, we must maintain order. She turned her gaze to Lachlan and Celine. You will remain under council supervision until this matter is resolved. Lachlan exchanged a worried glance with Celine. They had made a significant move, but Vrax's influence was still formidable. As they were escorted out of the chamber, Kane slipped them a reassuring nod, indicating that he was still on their side. Confined to a secure holding area, Lachlan and Celine discussed their next steps. We need to ensure the council sees the full extent of Vrax's treachery, Celine said, her voice determined. But we also have to prepare for his retaliation. Their conversation was interrupted by Zara, who had managed to gain access to their holding area under the guise of a medical check. I've been monitoring Vrax's communications. He's already planning to neutralize you both. We need to get you out of here. Lachlan frowned. If we run, we'll look guilty. But staying here makes us sitting targets. Celine nodded. We need a plan that allows us to continue gathering evidence while staying one step ahead of Vrax. Zara handed them a small device. This is a signal scrambler. It can disrupt their tracking systems long enough for you to escape unnoticed. Kane and I will create a diversion. As they prepared to leave, Lachlan felt a mixture of apprehension and determination. They had come too far to turn back now. With Zara and Kane orchestrating a distraction, Lachlan and Celine slipped out of the holding area, the scrambler masking their movements. Navigating the labyrinthine corridors of the council's headquarters, they encountered several close calls but managed to avoid detection. Lachlan's mind raced, formulating their next move. They needed a safe place to regroup and continue their fight against Vrax. They found refuge in an abandoned communications hub on the outskirts of the headquarters. It was a temporary sanctuary, but it provided them with the tools they needed to analyze the remaining data. As they pored over the files, they uncovered more of Vrax's dealings, including bribes, threats, and covert operations aimed at destabilizing the council. Celine looked up from her work, her expression one of grim satisfaction. This is enough to bring Vrax down, but we need to present it in a way that leaves no room for doubt. Lachlan nodded. We'll need to rally more allies. If we can get enough council members on our side, Vrax's power base will crumble. Their moment of respite was short-lived. The door to the hub burst open, and Vrax's enforcers flooded in. Lachlan and Celine fought back with all their might, but they were outnumbered and overpowered. Just as they were about to be captured, Kane and Zara appeared, leading a small group of loyalists who had come to their aid. In the chaos, Lachlan managed to secure the data chip with the crucial evidence. Kane barked orders, and their small band fought their way out of the hub, making their way to a hidden transport that would take them to a secure location. As they sped away, Lachlan glanced at Celine. We're not out of the woods yet, but we have what we need to expose Vrax. Celine nodded, her eyes fierce. We'll bring this to the council and show them the truth. Vrax's reign of terror ends now. The transport carried them to a hidden base deep within an asteroid belt, a place known only to a few trusted allies. Here, they would finalize their plans and prepare for the final confrontation. Lachlan felt a surge of resolve. The stakes had never been higher, but he was ready to fight for humanity's place in the galaxy. The hidden base within the asteroid belt hummed with activity. Lachlan, Lockie Harrison, and Dr. Celine Quinn stood at the center of the command room, surrounded by a small but determined group of allies. The atmosphere was charged with a mix of anticipation and resolve. They were on the cusp of a decisive moment that could change the fate of humanity and the entire galaxy. We have everything we need to bring Vrax down, Lachlan said, his voice steady but intense. But we need to present this evidence to the council in a way that leaves no doubt about his guilt. Selene nodded. We've secured the data, and Kane has gathered enough support among the council members. Our timing must be impeccable. Vrax will be prepared for a counterattack. Zara stepped forward, her alien eyes gleaming with determination. I've arranged for a secure transmission channel directly to the council chamber. We can broadcast the evidence live, ensuring Vrax can't interfere. Lachlan felt a surge of gratitude for their allies' unwavering support. Let's do this. We go live in 10 minutes. As the team prepared for the broadcast, Lachlan took a moment to reflect on their journey. From the initial declaration that humanity was a threat to their daring escape and now this final stand, it had been a relentless battle. But every challenge had only strengthened their resolve. The transmission began, and the council chamber appeared on the screen. Council members looked up in surprise as Lachlan and Celine's faces filled the display. Lachlan stepped forward, his expression resolute. Council members, we have uncovered irrefutable evidence of Councillor Vrax's deceit and manipulation. Lachlan began. He has used fear and coercion to consolidate his power, threatening the very foundation of our galactic unity. Celine activated the data feed, displaying the incriminating files. The council members watched in stunned silence as Vrax's secret communications and underhanded dealings were laid bare. Vrax, seated at the center of the chamber, sprang to his feet, his face twisted with fury. This is an outrage. These humans are fabricating lies to save themselves. Kane, present in the chamber, stood up, his voice clear and authoritative. The evidence is undeniable. Vrax has betrayed the council and endangered us all. We must act to preserve our integrity. A murmur of agreement rippled through the chamber. The speaker raised her hand, her voice calm but firm. We will review this evidence immediately. Councillor Vrax, you are hereby relieved of your duties pending investigation. Vrax's eyes burned with hatred as he was escorted out of the chamber. The council members began their deliberations, but the atmosphere had already shifted. The tide was turning against Vrax, and humanity's vindication was within reach. Back at the base, Lachlan and Celine watched the proceedings with bated breath. The transmission cut off as the council went into closed session, leaving them in a tense silence. We did it, Celine said quietly. Now we wait. Their moment of triumph was short-lived. An alarm blared through the base, and Zara's voice crackled over the intercom. Vrax's forces have found us. They're launching an attack. Lachlan's heart pounded. Prepare for defense. We can't let them destroy the evidence. The base's defenses sprang to life as Vrax's ships descended upon them. Lachlan, Celine, and their allies took up positions, ready to repel the assault. The battle was fierce, the confined space of the asteroid base amplifying the intensity of the conflict. Lachlan fought with a determination fueled by the stakes of their mission. He could see the same resolve in Celine and their allies. Every shot fired, every defensive maneuver was executed with precision and purpose. Despite their efforts, Vrax's forces began to breach the outer defenses. Lachlan knew they couldn't hold out indefinitely. We need to buy more time, he shouted. Celine, get to the command center and secure the data. I'll hold them off here. Celine nodded, her eyes meeting his with a mix of determination and concern. Stay safe, Lockie. As Celine rushed to the command center, Lachlan and the others dug in, fighting with every ounce of strength they had. The battle raged on, each moment stretching into an eternity. Just when it seemed they were on the brink of being overwhelmed, a surge of energy pulses through the base. The Council's loyalist forces, led by Kane, arrived, their ships breaking through Vrax's blockade and turning the tide of the battle. Lachlan felt a wave of relief as the reinforcements joined the fray. Together, they pushed back Vrax's forces, driving them into retreat. The base's defenses held, and the remaining attackers fled into the void of space. As the dust settled, Celine emerged from the command center, a triumphant smile on her face. The Council has reached a decision. Vrax has been stripped of his position and arrested. Humanity is no longer seen as a threat. Lachlan let out a breath he didn't realize he'd been holding. They had done it. Against all odds, they had cleared humanity's name and brought down a tyrant. The chapter ended with Lachlan and Celine standing side by side, watching the stars. The future was uncertain, but for the first time, it felt bright with possibilities. They had proven humanity's resilience and secured their place in the galaxy.